Verbally Effective with Ina Esco is an interview-style podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with a Memphis focus. Each week, I'm joined by a featured guest with roots in Memphis. Verbally Effective delves into each guest's personal journey to uncover the incredible stories fueling their purpose, the highs and lows of their pursuits, and how through their passion, they are moving the culture forward. Be sure to follow Verbally Effective and Ina Esco on Instagram. Also, download the Verbally Effective podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Don't forget to check out the website and submit to be a guest at verballyeffective.com. Hey guys, it's your double E, Ina Esco, on the Verbally Effective podcast. This is the podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, entertainment with a Memphis focus. I want to send a huge shout out to everyone that has purchased merch. You all can check it out right now on ivymultimediashop.com. Also, please subscribe to the podcast on all streaming platforms. Hit that subscribe button on the Ina Esco YouTube channel so you can check out all these wonderful visuals. I want to send a huge shout out to my team, Ari the Genius, Patrick, and Brandon, and my boy Morel in the building today on production. And we're going to just jump right into it because I met this gentleman in person a few weeks back at an event that WYXR community radio station had. And he was the facilitator for a very interesting discussion regarding music and artists. He is a producer, a writer, an artist, a DJ for FUNKYTOWN show over there at WYXR. He is the tour and production manager for the amazing Janelle Monae. He's also a music instructor at the University of Memphis School of Music. I'm talking about Jeff Cohran. What's up, Jeff?
What's up? How you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I'm chilling.
Look, we met, and I was like, I need to get you on the podcast. She was like, I'm down. I'm like, cool. Because, just sitting listening to you as you facilitated the panel, I'm like, oh, my God. He's so knowledgeable about this business. Do you get that a lot? Because you've been in the game for how long?
Oh, I managed my first artist when I was like 15.
Wow.
So that'd be like 22 years now.
That's a long time.
Yeah, but like professionally, since 2006.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And you from South Memphis.
Yeah, man. South Parkway. South Parkway in Leland, South Parkway in Mississippi. Right before you get to the curve.
Mm-hmm.
Monumental, 38106. Yeah.
38106.
Went to Orleans.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm very much South Memphis.
Okay. And tell me about your family dynamic growing up.
So it was cool. Like, growing up in South Memphis, like, you don't really know that. You think that everybody broke. And so it was cool because, like, we always had fun, I always had music in my life. My aunt, my mom, my dad, they all sang in the Operation Push Choir back in the day. My aunt sang background for Ray Charles. My uncle played in the Barcades,
Okay.
It was, but when you growing up, you just kind of running around. So it was just always music around. Like that was kind of things, music and sports. And so, went to Orleans, went to Roselle, went to Snowden, went to Central, and just was doing music. And, at a certain point, it kind of arrests you. You know what I'm saying? So my mom was like, you got to be a lawyer, though. And so when I went to UT Knoxville, I was playing like I was going to go to law school, but, music took over.
You had to do it for mom. You had to start it off for mom.
Yeah.
But music took over. Was there someone very instrumental when you were growing up that taught you really like, hey, this is how you do it, Jeff? This is,
Yeah, I think it's crazy because, like, you grow up, and I grew up in a single-parent household, so you grow up, like, for most of my life, I was thinking, like, man, I ain't have no father figures and stuff like I really wanted to or whatever. But now I'm looking back, and you start noticing, like, how my mom was, like, the drummer from the church, and then your uncle doing this, and then blah, blah. I looked back, and I was like, man, there's so many, like, men who really, like, taught you how to tie a tie, and then my dad taught me how to play basketball. Like, it was a real community. Like, it's crazy to see how many, like, black men made sure, you know, like kind of you walking and you don't see what's in front of you, and they're like laying down the road in front of you, whatever. So I mean, the city, like, you know, my granddad, my dad, my Uncle Joe. My Uncle Joe was the road manager for Ray Charles, and so I went and saw my first concert when I was like 4, and it was Ray Charles, and so like. I remember that like it's yesterday, seeing, you know, the stage and seeing my grandma cook for everybody. Like, you know, I was hooked from like then, you know, so, you know, like standing on the little, on the bench, like with a little robe on, directing, thinking I'm a Landa Draper or something. Like it was, you know, like I knew I was going to do something. And I knew, okay, I'm not good enough to be a musician. I'm not like, I don't got enough, you know, endurance when it comes to practicing. But I know how to tell people what to do. And so that was the one thing that I was kind of good at or whatever, and I liked being a line leader. And so it kind of, at a certain point, it kind of came together.
Now, were you involved in music at the Central High School?
Yeah.
What did you do with music there?
So I was in the jazz band, which is a big deal at Central. You know, it's so many legends that came out of the program, and I played jazz band. I was section leader. You know, I think my senior year, and it was cool. Like. Because when we came in, I always tell people it was interesting. Like when we went to Snowden, when we were in 7th grade, the school went to being a middle school. So like automatically, the 7th graders became like king of the school or whatever. When we got to Central in 9th grade, there was already like a big band, but we had a whole big band from Snowden that came over, and we started like the first like little, not little, it was the first 9th grade big band that they had, and we were like. Practice all day, and I was a real band nerd. But it's kind of weird because like playing trumpet, my mom ain't one trying to like let me play the trumpet in the house.
Okay,
you know, like
okay.
You know, so it was like I was only like practicing when I was at school, and I knew I didn't really want to play trumpet. Like I liked soloing, but you know, it was cool. But it was cool like the camaraderie and listening to music and all that stuff. But yeah, I did it when I was in school, and then once I got to college, my mom was like, "Boy, you're not about to play that professionally, so you need to get you a real major, go do poli-sci, and you know, and relax." She was like, "You know, if you want to be in music, you need to be an executive. You need to have a law degree." Like she was really like in that space, whatever. And so
you went to UT and took up law.
Well, political science.
Political
and so
science.
That lasted all of about like a year. I ended up getting a minor in political science, but like I did my first internship at the public defender's office that summer.
How was that?
Horrible. It was funny. I mean, it was pretty funny. It was like being in like an episode of like Night Court or something. I don't know if you know about Night Court.
Yes, I can imagine.
It was like that. Like I mean, because you know it's down. You know, anybody work for the city? It's like it's a whole lot of little shenanigans going on. I was like interviewing like
entertainment.
I was interviewing like convicts and stuff. Like I'm a freshman, man. Like why am I interviewing this guy for robbery? Like you know, because when they come in, you know, you have to do the little. I wasn't supposed to do that. This man gone to lunch. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, nah, I don't want to be a lawyer. They were chasing too many, like, you know, they were just chasing clients all the time.
You was like, that's not for me.
Yeah, and I was just like, man, you know, and so.
So you had to make that phone call to mom and said, Mom, look.
Well, no, I parlayed it for a while. I was like, well, I'm just going to, you know, just get into communications. So my first year, as soon as I got to UT, there was a Blackface Incident. Like, as soon as I got there. Oh. Well, maybe probably by the time that Halloween came by, there was a Blackface Incident. And at that time, I was the vice president of the state NAACP, Youth and College Division. So when I came in as a freshman, that was my role. And when that happened, I wrote a guest column in the newspaper. And it really, you know, it didn't go viral because viral didn't exist then, but it really set a stir on campus. And that launched me into starting to write for the newspaper. And so, you know, by the time my sophomore year happened, I was a journalist. I was writing, you know, 7, 8, you know, articles a week.
You enjoy writing.
Yeah, and so my mom was like, whatever, dog. Just as long as you don't come back home, as long as you don't get nobody pregnant, you know what I'm saying? Like, get AIDS, so, like, come back home. Like, that's all my mom really cared about was, like, as long as you ain't, like, you know, like, selling drugs, cool, whatever. And so, but she was, like, she was very strict about, but you're not just going to do music alone.
Right.
Like,
it needs to be something else.
You ain't going to be no gigging artist. Like, you ain't even good enough for that. Like, she was real. I appreciate her for that because she was like, bro, you're not that good. Like, you good enough to play, like, the drums at the church, but you...
But with that being said, it exposed you to other things that, you know, that you're really good at.
Yeah, I mean, I had friends who were really good. I had one friend who was really good when we were growing up. He was a prodigy. And I was like, you doing that wrong. I would always be able to tell him when he was doing stuff wrong, and so he started playing at little churches and stuff. And back then, there was no, Google Maps. So if you was doing a show in South Memphis, you got to take Jeff with you because, he know where the church at or whatever. And so that was my first, little management gig, getting him $50 to play for the church or whatever. And, I knew what my kind of calling was, pretty early. I just didn't know how it was going to work out,
Okay, so let's take it to UT. At what point did it get serious for you with music?
Well, I was real active in the NAACP, and, you go to school like UT, you get a budget for, diversity and inclusion, $50,000, $100,000. And so I had this friend, my same homeboy, he went to school at Morehouse. He had a band called Jazzbex. And they were doing shows, and they would go on a spring tour. Well, I got this pot of money. Y'all want to come through and do a show? Perfect.
Boom.
Yeah, so I was always kind of, whether it was throwing parties at my house growing up or, we just gonna all go to Fridays and mob out. I was always kind of like the hanging out person, or selling bootleg CDs person, and so once I did that first show, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I built a rapport with them. Once I graduated from college, moved back home for a month, didn't get a job here. At that time, they were Janelle's band. Janelle's band had the same management as Janelle, and I was just talking to him every week, yo, man, what you got going on? And I was giving him advice. He's like, you should just manage my band. What you doing in Memphis? You just staying at home. Just, move to Atlanta, man. We got a couch. We will pay you 15% of whatever you make every day. And I know Janelle. You know Janelle from, because I had known Janelle from, when we was in college and he was in college. He's like, so we knew of each other. He's like, hey, this a shot. You got a shot. And so, if you because at that time I was still thinking about going to law school. So I was going to take a gap year, study for the GRE and the LSAT or whatever. And, he's like, you can just spend it in Atlanta. And worst case scenario, you'll just fall into the industry. And that's
exactly what
that's
happened.
What happened.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So when you became the manager, right, and moved to Buckhead, how was that experience? Because, the music world, I know that was totally different from what you was doing in Memphis with music, what you probably experienced at UT. Now you in Atlanta. That's a hub for music. How was, life in Atlanta and Buckhead at that moment?
I was, it was cool because, when I was thinking about going to college, it was either Morehouse or Howard or UT, and then I made the decision. I was like, I'm not ready to go to Morehouse. It was just it's a fashion show, and for me, it was important. I had gone to Roseville, gone to Orleans, gone to Roseville, gone to Snowden, gone to Central. Well, going to Morehouse was cool, but I would rather be a regular black person. Yeah. And so I knew I could do more at UT than I could do at Morehouse. And so, but we was always down in Morehouse every week. Or at Howard. Howard is about a 30-minute flight. TSU, people think I went to Morehouse. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to go there. I'm just going to be up there a lot or whatever. And so, coming to Atlanta, I had been preparing, just kind of mentally. I knew a lot of people there. They were still, the guys went to Morehouse. And so, and Janelle was still relevant at AUC. So I just spent, college was my real wheelhouse anyway. And when I looked at Atlanta, it's different scenes. On one end, you have the super pro scene. Now in Atlanta, you got 50,000 black kids in the AUC. So it's if you can just and Janelle and them already popping. So it was just just don't screw it up. It wasn't, it was. And then Memphis does that to you, man. I'm from the era where we was going to D&D, you know what I'm saying?
So
and the spot. I was part of the same party. We was 15 in the club, you know what I'm saying? And they get to shoot and get to fight. It was just so normalized. And you had to, have some type of swagger. You had to, to walk down the street, to go to school, to whatever. Getting out of MCS, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever,
For real.
It was a real thing. And so by the time you get out of, and I guess I'm from, the era of, some of the first classes that mass black kids, oh, where you going to school at? That wasn't, my sister graduated in 97. That wasn't a question then, are you going to college? It's it was, most of my people in my sister's class went to work at FedEx or whatever. Whereas, in 2002 when I came out, it was more of a normal thing of everybody to go to college or whatever. Yeah. And so to be able to come out of Memphis, make it through UT, which, had a lot of racist moments. Like, we had to really, get in folks' ass a lot, like that was really, what had to happen or whatever. And
with you being in that NAACP position,
yeah.
You mentioned the Blackface Incident. Tell me about that. What exactly happened?
So it was Halloween, and it's so crazy thinking about it now because, like, it's, 2002. And so, you barely got text messages. And you just, like, literally hear motherfuckers being like, yo, it's some motherfuckers on the strip in blackface, dog. We about to whoop their ass. Like, it was like, why are these black people running? I'm about to run too. We about to fuck some people up. Like, it was like that kind of going on or whatever. And everybody was just pissed off. Like, I ain't never seen people from other fraternities being mad because they had one person was being like Louis Armstrong and another person was like trying to like dress as an alpha or some shit. And, like, people just like enraged, like, who the fuck, like, why did you think this was cool?
Why did you think that's okay?
And so to see. And it was kind of weird because I'm a real run to the fire kind of person. I was like, this is what I'm here for.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
this is my purpose.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here to whoop some ass, right? What's up, dog? What's up, man? Let me write this angry letter real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, a couple of days afterwards, you get the, and it just really helped. And it's crazy now, like, being a professor, because we had professors that was, like, all about the black power, but when the shit went down, they was, like, nowhere to be found. And I was like, what the fuck is that? They was like, tenure. I was like, oh, now I'm a teacher. I'm like,
you understand it now?
No.
You would have did it different.
No, I'm like, fuck that
They
shit.
was scared.
I think right is right and wrong is wrong. Is if people want to support you, then they want to support you. But I do understand, like, I don't have kids. I don't have no mortgages. I ain't been working fucking 30 years to get to this point for some people to tell me, like, hell no, like they do, which is a whole, so that was my first, like, because even in, like, Memphis, when we had the NAACP Youth Council, shout out, because they really, like, it's a whole generation of us that have learned responsible civil discourse, how to create community, United Way, you know what I'm saying? Like, all those organizations that we have links, like, all this stuff is so important. So that by the time I got to, UT, shit just kept on happening. So it's like, okay, I know y'all kind of meeting once a month. We need to meet, like, twice a month and, like, talk this shit out before somebody get hurt, because we need a place to kind of talk. And then at a certain point, okay, now that we talking, what are we going to do? And really just creating a forum for that or whatever. So my senior year, we created this Black Issues Conference. And so I went back to school for the first time in forever in 2019. I almost started crying because it was like in his 20th year, whatever year. It was like the whatever anniversary thing. I'm just like, yeah, and so it was cool. Like, I remember one year we had, like, Mayor Warden come. Like, we had, and then it was cool because I think the election year we had, like, Al Sharpton come, and then we had Alan Keyes come, like, really trying to make sure that, we raise responsible, people and have discourse, whatever. So that was my first, like, idea of, like, wanted to build community around, culture. And so, like, by the time I got to, Atlanta, the momentum just moves you forward. The fear and the momentum is like, I'm standing on the couch, bro. Like, I'm working at Macy's. I'm taking the bus. I can't go back home. And so once you had that, I can't go back home, you just, work. And so, over from 2006 to 2009, the band I had, Jazz Space, we did some good work. We did a few, national tours, and, at a certain point, Janelle, kind of said, hey, we need somebody to go out. My manager kind of wants to get off the road. Can you go out? I'm like, man, I've been waiting on you to say this all my life. Man. No, but it totally caught me by surprise. And so that was when that part of my life kind of started.
And look, when you say, can you go on tour, you guys did like a global, things got really serious really fast, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm talking about a full-fledged tour production. Yeah. You guys have been on the Oscars, Essence Fest, look about the White House, BET Awards. I'm talking about Grammys, Saturday Night Live, Coachella, and you were handling the production for all of this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And when we say that, kind of walk us through, how does that work, Jeff? These are some major productions that we, as the little people, we see on TV, right? And we're like, wow, somebody had to really put that idea together, right?
For me, I think how my mind works, like, I always look at it like from the tour side. Like, if we're on a tour and we're on a bus going every day, it's pretty easy to me because it's kind of like I got to wake up and I got something to do. I'm just going to bring y'all with me. Mm-hmm. And so I just, like, it's only 24 hours in a day, and certain things this city is only this far from this city, rinse and repeat. Now, when you first start off, you don't know shit. And so you just, like, fucking up left and right, like, and so, you learn about ass to cash, and I got my ass kicked a lot. And I spent a lot of cash on it too, whatever. So I think that, the idea behind my job is, they hit me up and say, hey, we got a show, and I make sure the show happens. I mean, on the tour side, that's the hotels, the flights, the catering, the car service, the guest list, when family comes in town, like, that's the customer, like, the real kind of logistical, customer service side. On the production side, that's the instruments and, the stage and the risers and, rehearsals and all of that stuff, whatever. So it made it easier for me to do both of them just because I started. It was only, when we first started out, it was like 8 of us, and we had like 2 duffel bags worth of stuff, and that was the show. And it's crazy now because, like, the same thing that was in that duffel bag is, like, on the show, just supersized. Like, we had a stool, we had a little strobe light, we had a fog machine, we had some confetti guns, we had, like, a wig that I used to wear and run around. I used to be like Thomas Jefferson or some bullshit. I used to run around or whatever. And we had a cape that we put on her, like, like James Brown at the end.
Capes,
I used to put the cape on her after every show, whatever. And that was the thing. And now it's like it's the same thing, just like way bigger. But it's been cool. Like, Janelle, that's my homie. And so, I mean, like, the first day I moved to Atlanta, like, the third place I went on the first day I moved was Wonderland. You know what I'm saying, to her house, and we talked the whole night. And so, she's always just been, like, really helpful, like, when we needed to, hey, man, can we use y'all car to rent the van, or can we use these speakers, or can we use y'all house for, a video, or can we use, like, yeah, okay, cool. And so, it's cool. It's hard for me to do it for anybody else.
Yeah.
Because it's, I know we know each other real well, so.
Yeah, and just looking at interviews with her, and I see that she's an energy person. So she vibes off energy, right? Yeah. So you guys must be on the same level with that energy. Yeah,
we got there. Just cool, like, being friends, that lasted a little bit before. She's very meticulous, and it's great for me because I need to be told exactly what to do, and, when we first started, like, I know how to talk like Janelle, because she'll say, what the email say? What? No. What? Don't say that word. That word sounds weak. That word sounds like whatever. Like, she was like, it's great to be able to, I mean, if I ever run into anything about anything, I can call her and say, hey, and she may not know, like, literally the technical kind of whatever, but she knows exactly what she wants. And I'm a person that knows, like, what I want too. So it really, like, and she a creature of habit. Like, if I go and buy a shirt, I remember I went and bought a shirt from, like, Ralph Lauren or some shit for her or whatever. And she's like, go get me this shirt. So I come back and I bring 2 shirts. I think I brought 3. I'm like, I'm bringing 3. All right, cool. She said, that's all? I said, what do you mean? She's like, how many shirts are left? I was like, I mean, it's probably like 8 left. She's like, well, if you want something, get all of it. If you like something, get all of it. Okay. She said, because it may go out of season. And when she said that, I was just like, it just was like a much larger kind of thing, because she's a person that's like, don't leave nothing for chance. Like, come and burn this motherfucker down. Like, she's like that person. Like, make it real clear. Like, make it real clear. Did you really fight for this shit or not? Like, she's that person, and she had to charge me up. Like, you know what? Nah, fuck these folks. Like, I had to really like really. She can be very sweet, but she can be very aggressive, and that suited me well. Like, I ran track growing up, and so Coach Roberts at Central always was in our ass, and it works better for me for people to tell me exactly what's needed out of me, and and to just to not fire me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's important. Like, you don't fire me, then I'm like, I should have got fired, bro. I'm up. Like, and I think that, it allows me as we can have anywhere between like 25 people to like, we do a Coachella. It's, maybe 100 people out there, It helps me to be a lot more chill as somebody's boss. And especially now that I'm a professor, I'm a total softy now. But, I mean, but it allows me to be really patient with people. Even though, I mean, it's certain things that don't fly, though. We do fire a good amount of people, whatever. But that's more energy. Like, if your energy ain't straight, you out of here. Because I can feel, like, if you have good energy and you a person of good character, we can figure everything out. You can be a lazy ass, but you got good character, we can get you to the working thing. But if you, like, don't got good character, like, most of the people that we end up firing are people who are really talented, but you can't tell them shit. Or when things fuck up, they trying to blame somebody else and hiding shit. And whoa. Nah, that's going to make me mad. As opposed to being like when I would mess up, I'd be like, okay, so this, I would have a whole list of things, and then I didn't do this. Because she'll say, well, what's your list at? Don't
so
you need to have
being
a list?
Accountable.
Yeah, she's like, you have to make a list of your processes.
And
so,
Janelle on top of it.
And so, like, once I understood everything's just numbers, like, okay, if I can just make it whatever, and every day just need to be like the next day, then, I mean, you only can fuck up so much.
Rinse and repeat, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can fuck up a lot, but I mean, like, before you get fired, so I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
So, when the pandemic hit, how was that for you?
That was crazy. Like, so, we did the Oscars, and for us, like, we've done a good amount of shows, and the beauty of it is that it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So the Oscars, that's my first time doing the Oscars. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. We do it or whatever. Week of the Oscars. I had been on and off with my girl for like 12 years, and we broke up. So I'm like, I'm a little sad, little puppy dog the whole little week or whatever. But I'm happy because we doing the Oscars. Like, like we about to turn this shit up. We got shows coming up. We got like Essence. We had we had a good amount of stuff going on, and it was in the third year of the tour. So the third year of the tour is kind of cool because you do like, let's see, like in the second year, we were second to the headliner at Coachella. You know what I'm saying? Like, headliner on stage at Glastonbury. Like, it's like, okay, we about to headline Essence this time. Like, it was like, like, all right, we about to really get the fruits of our labor and get some off time and, like, get to kind of refresh and blah, 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 whatever. Then the pandemic hits.
Look, you didn't know you was going to get a break like
then
that.
Then the pandemic hits. And so now I'm like, not only am I, out of work and broken up and staying instead of my ex.
Broke up.
And so, that was interesting. Like, but my ex and I were like super cool or whatever. But the idea of like, all right, what am I gonna do next? Like, and so one of my business partner, Moniker Young, has been a great mentor. She's a producer of films, and it was just crazy because that night was the night that her film that she produced, Hair Love, won an Oscar, and so we're out hanging out a couple of days after. I tell her to think about my girl, and she's like, y'all broke up? Like, you're moving to L.A. What? I ain't got no L.A. money. She's like, you moving to L.A. And I mean, I would always stay with Monica because she had like a 3-bedroom, nice crib or whatever. She's like, I got another room. You just move here. I know you working on the script. Bam. I was like, oh. I'm moving to L.A. Perfect. This is the best breakup ever, dog. I get to move to L.A., dog. Like, wow. And then when I told my ex, she was like, she started crying. She's like, yo, I wanted you to move to L.A. at some point. Like, I know, Atlanta's been like holding you back or whatever. So it was cool, whatever. So I'm excited. We going to L.A. Then the pandemic happens. And so now, like, we stuck in the house. And we had, enough space to be, whatever. Stuck in this house, like, okay, my lease is up in a couple of months. And so I was like, well, I was still thinking I was going to move to L.A. I was like, I'm just going to drop my stuff in my sister's crib. Days went by, I was like, I think I'm going to have to stay at my sister's crib for a little bit. Which was cool because I hadn't stayed with my sister since I was like, since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? My sister's 5 years older than me. And, a lot of who I am is because of the music that she played. She was the one playing.
The 90s.
She's playing, All Eyes on Me.
Yeah.
And she's playing Brown Sugar, and she's playing Mama's Gun.
Yes.
And, we was fucking them Columbia House subscriptions up, dog. Like, she's playing all this shit. She was the one that was playing music, stuff like that. So moving back in with her, and then my niece at the time was in her senior year of high school. And so it was cool, moving in with them. And then my sister's at the time fiance was moving in, so it was cool getting to know him, whatever. Just and so I stayed with my sister, and that was cool. Like it felt like childhood, and so about a year into it, it's a pandemic, so it was kind of like everybody's chilling. It gave me some time to work on music. So like the next week, maybe when I moved back home, my little cousin Tangela came in town. My little cousin Tangela, she's my second cousin. She's like 10 years younger than me, 10, 11 years younger than me. She was at Berkeley in Massachusetts, and she's a rock star. She's a literal rock star. Plays instruments, produces, badass, whatever. And so she came home, and then my homegirl Amanda Davis, who's our front of house engineer for Janelle, an artist and a producer, she was already at home because of her parents. And so we had a session over at For You, I think, and it just felt so good. Like we just started running through songs. I had been working with my little cousin since she was like 16 or whatever, but she came home and she decided like, yo, I'm moving home too. And so at that time, it was like, oh shit, we just gonna I've been waiting to work on music with Amanda, but we've been on tour, and I've been waiting to work on music in person because me and my cousin were always just sending music back and forth. So, after that, I just started like going crazy producing, which is, because when you start like for 12 years, I'm doing the Janelle thing. I never really had time to like really sew into production like I wanted to, and so this is a great opportunity. So that it ended up being a blessing.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, the job for U of M came up, and one of my colleagues was like, "Hey, there's a job that's up. You should look at it." That was a
good opportunity.
Yeah, it was cool. That changed
entering the
everything.
world of academia, were you a little bit, or were you like excited about it?
Oh yeah, when it happened, I knew it. I had always, once again, I like to control things, and so I be having my little, this is gonna happen at this time, and this gonna happen at this time. But then when you start striving for other shit, you kind of that was whatever, but that just kind of went away. But I always had like I want to teach at some point. Maybe I'm gonna go back to UT or I don't know, I'm gonna teach, but I like somebody to to pay me to be like a graduate student or some shit or whatever. I knew I was gonna finesse my way into teaching some way, but I didn't realize it was gonna happen like that. Like seriously, like now the thing is, in 2018, right before we went on tour, we had an event called the Dream Forum, where we brought 75 kids together, creative teams, to talk about creative careers. And so we had folks from Atlantic Records, and we had folks in the fashion world, and it was a great hit with the community in Atlanta. And at the same time, I had my niece, my other niece. I have two nieces, Kanesia and Cameron. Kanesia is 22, and she was at MTSU, and she didn't do good in an intro to music class, or music business class, and I got like heated. She was in school for audio engineering. I got pissed off. I was like, I could teach that class, and I was like, that's interesting or whatever.
And now you teaching it.
Yeah, and then the added part of it is that she just got accepted into U of M, so I'll be teaching her.
You're oh, wow.
So it's cool.
And I know it's probably different for you because you're teaching music management, music marketing and management, entrepreneurship and music business, concerts and touring, songwriting, everything that you've talked about, all of your experience, you're really talking them through it, right?
Yeah, it's cool. I think looking back at it, and when I moved to Atlanta, I did have some good mentors and people who did pour into me, but it's the wild, wild west. Like, there isn't a lot of organization into music like it is on the film side or just in any kind of sector. And so, and that's by design. It's a good old boys club. You know what I'm saying? And so, whether it's, and I noticed that even on the, on the Janelle side, like when Janelle when we had a guy, we fired him for audio, and Janelle was like, I want to have a black woman to be my audio engineer. I was like, my first inclination was like, Janelle, I actually do know somebody. Like, I had to stop myself. My first inclination was like, Janelle, you want a black audio engineer? Man, that may take forever. I don't know. Actually, I know Amanda. My friend Amanda does audio.
Okay.
I'm guessing she's good. She makes really good music. I haven't heard her do a live mix, but let me call Amanda. You know what I'm saying? I think that, like, the most fucked up part about it is it has nothing to do with talent many times. Has way more to do with who you know. and they'll let like Jimmy like fuck up 1,000 times, but they not gonna fire him. But let your ass do Ina, your black ass do anything, and you know, you out of there. And so I think that as a touring production manager, you know, it's important for me to be humane and be honest.
Yeah.
I fire somebody and be like, look, I fired you for this reason, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm not gonna not recommend you for shit. I still want you or whatever. You just can't fucking work here right now. You know what I'm saying? That's not the tour for your ass. But I'm still your boy. But you need to get your ass fired because you ain't learning fast enough. And I think that it's important to be able to do that before people get out in the field. And so that's the cool thing about the job at the University of Memphis is that, you know, my goal is to get students placed in places and for them to be able to go, you know, and to deal with the mental part of it. Because it's really more about who you are as opposed to, like, really what you do. Because if you can get a handle on, like, who you are and you just are used to working hard and, you know, having a, like, it's the same process for everything. And I like, that's the one thing I learned about, like, schools, like, you know, whether it's me learning Ableton, you know, the music program, or me learning how to, you know, track drums out, or me learning how to teach a class, you know, it's just waking up and being locked in. And I think that, you know, I do empathize and feel bad for the current generation because you look at 20 years, what they've had to deal with. And then, like, for my seniors, you come in 2018, 2019 or whatever, 2019, 2020, you come in, you get a pandemic. You've been in a pandemic for 2 years. Yeah. You just now, like, think like this. My students hadn't seen the bottom of their fucking faces to the person they sitting next to until like February. They first kick it like, oh, we have the events every month for the students where the Concerts and Touring class produces a show for our student-run label, Blue Tongue. And they have it at the Green Room, and I think the first one they had they had one in February, and that's the first time they hung out, like when they got drinks. I'm like,
and it's a lot of that going on right now. So you're allowing them a little grace and being a little more patient with them.
Yeah, I mean, we're not curing cancer, man. I think that, but at the same time, we kind of are. I mean, like, one thing that's really important is a culture. Like, that's the one thing that has been, that we have to, like, kind of reteach. But I think the cool part about it is that people have been, like, with the pandemic, it's allowed people to kind of sit in their thoughts, for better or for worse. And it's made people, like choose what they want to, like, opt into or not. Because when you're in high school, it's just kind of like, they fighting, we fighting, you hating people, whatever. Now people can kind of choose their world around them. And now that they get back in the world, they're just like, I don't want to respond back to that text. I don't want to do the, like, and so, you know, but I think that, you know, we've just been, hey, whatever you need is right in front of you. This is your community. This, you know, it's not about having 1 million followers. It's really about, you know, the people that you have around you or whatever. So it's been really cool to try to, you know, stuff that was natural to us when we was in college. Like, I mean, you know, if we stay in the dorm, we're going to come down and start beatboxing and rapping and shooting the shit and doing whatever. And that's not something that, you know, we've trained them to do for the last 2 years. Right. And so, you know, just, I mean, that's been, you know, it's the same thing I've been doing. That's kind of how I feel.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what I want to tap into, Jeff? FUNKYTOWN. Yeah. Over there at WYXR, you go by the moniker South Memphis Jeff. Yep. Tell everybody about your show on WYXR.
FUNKYTOWN, 8 to 9 on Thursdays on WYXR 91.7. Man, it's crazy because, like, how long have you had your show?
It seemed like 2 years now since they started.
Yeah, so you play a part in this without knowing. So when I moved here, I stayed off of, like, Jackson and Garland, so right around the corner. And so, you know, it's a pandemic. And so when I would need places to go just to, like, decompress, I would go to Crosstown. And so many a times I would come on Sundays and hear, like, your show. I'm like, man, this is so cool, whatever. And so DJ Alpha Whiskey introduced me to Jared, and, you know, we found out Jared was the cousin of one of my best friends, B Munt. Shout out to B Munt. And me and Jared just started running around, you know, being silly and shit. And, you know, eventually, you know, he's like, yo, you're actually good at, you know, picking songs and shit like that, you should have a show. I mean, I kind of twisted his arm a little bit more than that or whatever. He's like, okay, fine, shit, you can have a show. You know? So it was cool. It was cool. I found a DJ once. He was just like, yo, you actually good. All right, yeah, you can get that show you asked about or whatever. So it's been super cool just from a communal standpoint, being able to connect with the city, you know, being from FUNKYTOWN, being from South Memphis. And just like, it's not, you know, James Brown for fucking 1 hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I love playing James Brown stuff or whatever. It's not like, and so to be able to play, you know, stuff from traveling, stuff from Japan, stuff from like, you know, that's the big part of it. When I was in Atlanta, I had a band called All Cows Eat Grass. And it started just from the idea we was having house parties. And the house parties got kind of so big that it was like, you can't have them here no more. And so we started having it. But it's based off of like going and hanging out in, you know, in London or hanging out in Paris or, you know, hanging out in St. Bart's or going to Brazil or all these different places. And it was like soul, funk music being the base of it. So whether it's Brazil, whether it's whatever, you know, just tapping into like this sound, you know, yeah. So it's been super cool. You know?
And I saw that, you know, you're turning that into Funky Tour Dance Party. Tell me about
The
that.
Summer Funk Tour, yeah.
The Summer Funk Tour.
The Summer Funk Tour, yeah. So I'm starting to get booked for some shows. I mean, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, the first show that I'm doing is on Sunday. It's actually a show that the kids are doing. Like I said, you know, our concerts and touring class does. They produce a show every month, and so during the school year. So this last one we're doing with an amazing artist, Taliba Sophia, who is being. There's a great article coming out soon about. Her being named our artist in residence at the University of Memphis for the music business program, and she'll be performing. We'll be recording it.
I think I know her. I follow her on Instagram.
Yeah.
She's real funky.
Yeah, real funky.
Raps and sings. I know who you're talking about.
And
I know you're talking about.
I'll be opening up that show. It's sold out, so that's super cool.
I'm coming.
I got you.
I know you sold out, but can I come?
I got you.
Okay, thank you.
And so it's, you know, so that'll be the first one. Be doing some stuff in Nashville, and it's cool. Like I got a lot of DJ friends, and so like DJing is so easy to. I was talking to my homie. Just got a show in Anchorage. Like got a homegirl. Like you always need a DJ. So if somebody pull up, it's like, oh, I'm being LA. Can I? You know, so like that's. For me, the DJing part is about just connecting through music and, you know, just being a cool little hobby, you know.
Yes, and another thing I saw, you're developing a pilot for a sitcom. You got a lot going on, Jeff. South Memphis Jeff. What's up with the pilot for the sitcom and a film script? What is going on?
So, when I was traveling, shout out to Monica. Like, my homegirl, Monica, managed on the music side, and we did a lot of shows together, and in about 2008, she started working with Matt Cherry, and she exposed me first to the film world. And, you know, I did some casting for a web series they did, and I saw Matt just, like, blow up and see, you know. And then I read, like, Save the Cat and some other books, and I was like, man, it's actually really easy. It's a lot easier to put a film together to a certain extent than, like, an album, because there are actually rules to it. Like, oh, this is gonna, you know, these are my beats that I got to go through, blah blah. You know, this is what, like, it's, you have to do something to get to the next scene or whatever. And so it made it, you know, pretty easy, whatever. So I just kind of started working on the script, and it's called Madam Jones, and, you know, we just, you know, figuring it out.
Jones,
I mean,
we gonna see Madam Jones come to life.
So shout out to L. Perry too,
shout out to L. Perry,
who has saved my life for coming and helping me with this script. And, you know, we're in, Act 3 right now. We got a few more scenes left, whatever. But it's I'm spoiled, man. I'm very spoiled because, you know, Monica has been a great mentor, and, you know, no, you need to do this, you need to do that, whatever. And so, and then for me, like, I have a regular job. So all of this is just, like, things that I would just do on the end. I just happen to know the business side to kind of, you know, like I said, I'm spoiled. Jared, my homeboy, so I can get a radio show. You know, but it, you know, I appreciate it because it's based off of, like, real love and not, like, you know, like, favors and nothing like that. Like, you know, it's a real vibe. Like, me and Jared are already chilling, listening to music. It's like, hey, this need to be a show. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's usually how it happens too.
So you know.
Yeah.
Kind of into everything.
Are you digging the music scene in Memphis right now?
Oh, yeah, I love it. I mean, that's really why I'm here for. Like, there's so many amazing artists. Shout out to Elena and Alana with God, Stan, Brandon, the whole New Genesis team, Dottie, Doll.
Yes.
I mean, geez, I'm going for days.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's
here.
It's here, and Tangela, Rolene. And the infrastructure part of it was the part that was like, I don't even want to say missing, because we have a robust music scene, especially on the rap side. Like, the rap side is like crushing it, and there's an infrastructure there. And I think on the soul side, on the R&B side, on the pop side, there's still, we have to train up the next generation. That's the one thing I saw in Atlanta was, how there wasn't much of a music scene. And, 20, 30 years ago, with Dungeon Family, you started seeing people, each one teach one kind of situation.
Yeah.
I think that, for Memphis, and I think management is such a dirty word. And it took me so long to go from being a manager. Like, when I went to Atlanta, I was like, I'm not going to make any music. I want to do right by my artists. I don't want to be the manager all up in the videos. Like, I was really like that, and by the time, but then the music just starts busting out of you. Like, you going to wash your hands, you got a song, like, oh, let me get my voice memo, and like, give me a little keyboard, so I'm going to stand up late making music when I'm supposed to be sleeping and supposed to be doing shit or whatever, and it just really busts out of you, and so, I mean, that's, I don't even know if I answered your question or whatever, but yeah.
You did. Do you get a lot of people in Memphis that ask you to manage them at this point?
No, because like my sister was always good at keeping me away from people, and so like when I came home, I'd be like, "Oh, who are you?" And like, I've been knowing about you, but your sister don't let people be around you.
She's the protector.
Yeah. So because I don't. I mean, but I think so. I'm glad you asked that question, because I used to do a lot more management, and it was just very tiring trying to tell people what to do. That I said what I said. Like, just go do it. I don't, that's not a debate. And so I got tired of doing this shit, and it's so much easier just to manage yourself. Or, and I have a great team. Shout out to Renika, my manager. But it's so much easier for me to manage myself and for me to manage my business partners. And, for us to kind of be able to feed off each other and help each other, whatever. But being at work at the University of Memphis has been great because we study music all day. So, like, I have way more patience and tolerance to, like, hey, if any artist want to come and holler at me in my office, let's talk. Luca comes through, Pro comes through, Maestro. Like, we always have artists and people coming through. I work for the city now, for the state now. Like, I ain't, like, cool. They paying me to be here, and, I'm a real good uncle. I'll tell you what you need to know, pat you on the head and say, go do it, champ. You know what I'm saying? Let me know how it goes. I make sure you real good and sleeping for your parents when you get home, whatever. And so, but I ain't trying to ask you every day, whatever, like, nah, so I think that and I feel like most artists, like, they don't want a damn manager. They want an assistant. You know what I'm saying? An assistant costs. And they want something for nothing. Like, as soon as you start talking to a manager, that faucet is on. Like, that meter is on. You got to pay people. And so you can't afford a manager, so you need to figure out how to be a manager yourself. And that's because, like, Janelle, once again, knows every part of her. Like, no, your job is to do this, not that. I hired you to do this. And I saw a team being built responsibly. And I know all the positions, and I know that you don't need that. You just want to be lazy. And if you want to be lazy, that's fine. But do you have X amount of thousands of dollars to pay somebody for a year, whatever? Okay. And so I think that's the other part of it too, is making sure that the rates for people in the city go up. Like, I'm just the person to tell you how much the shit costs. I'm not the budget. Don't tell me about your budget. It costs X amount of dollars for Ina to come speak. I don't. And I think that's been something that's important as I work with students and I work with organizations. Is like, well, if you only got this, then you need to, So I mean, that's it's been really, really cool. Like, this has been an absolute dream.
Yes, you've come full circle. Are you going back out on tour with Janelle?
Yeah, at some point. At some point, I mean, she's on the book tour right now. Shout out to Viv and Kelly, who are holding down in Chicago right now. But Janelle in her bag, man. So
Yeah, she in
she
her
in her bag.
bag.
Yes.
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 I saw that red table talk. I
I gotta check it out. I haven't seen it. I gotta see it.
Check it out. Look, when we log off, check it out. Check
Yeah,
it
I know,
out.
I
Check
know.
out your girl. See what she been up to.
Yes, I will.
Yes. How about them Grizzlies?
Oh man, I am a.
You been going to the game?
Nah, cause every time there's a game, I like the last one I had the show, then the one before I had class, and then the next one I got class.
Oh wow.
And so, but now I am a huge.
They was in that thing. Whoop that treat. I'm talking about black, white, Chinese, everybody.
That was my second job working for the Grizzlies. I sold jerseys my senior year and my freshman year of college.
Wow.
Yeah.
And look at them now.
Yeah, dog, because they sucked then.
Yeah, they did. You can't say that no more. John Moran gonna get your ass.
Yeah, nah, for real.
Well, South Memphis Jeff, I have truly enjoyed you on the Verbally Effective podcast. I mean, you've been through a lot. You know a lot. I want to come and see you do your thing at the University of Memphis.
Come through.
Can I come and sit in on a class?
You can come and teach a class too.
Oh, I could come and teach a class.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, we're going to talk.
Yes.
We're going to talk more about that. I want you to let the Verbally Effective audience know how they can continue to follow your amazing journey.
So I am Jeff Cohran, JEFFCOHRAN. Also at South Memphis Jeff, STH MEMPHIS JEFF on all the mediums.
Yes, check my
I'm
boy
at
out.
you.
Tell him when your show is on WYXR.
FUNKYTOWN, WYXR 91.7 Memphis, also on WYXR.org. That's every Thursday from 8 to 9. And you also can check out the archives on WYXR.org/FunkyTown. And yeah, man, fuck with me.
Fuck with him.
Fuck with me, man.
That's right. Thank you so much, Jeff Cohran, for joining me today on the Verbally Effective podcast. You were amazing. I learned a lot about your journey. And it seemed like it's still processing.
Yes, yes. It's
this beautiful road that you're on right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think, when we talk to our kids, it's about balance. Like, you having your regular job, but also having these things that you allow to kind of grow and just, working on music. And, like, for me, once you have, and just kind of knowing what your bare minimum is. Like, if you're happy and you cool where you are in life, now you can be creative. And I mean, you can be creative before then too, whatever. And so I'm starting to open up my bag of tricks. And so I'm really excited.
Open up the bag, Jeff. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Verbally Effective podcast. Be sure to subscribe on all streaming platforms and hit that subscribe on the NAACP YouTube channel. I'll see you guys next week for another edition of the Verbally Effective podcast.